you won't make offense to them. If you're trying to show them I know more than you, and this is how you should be, then you become offensive, you become proud.
तो महाराज ने बताया कि हमें अच्छाइयों को ढूंढने का कोशिश करना चाहिए। और महाराज अपने स्कूल के दिनों को याद कर रहे हैं कि जब वो 12 साल के थे तो छठी क्लास में पढ़ते थे, तो जो प्रिंसिपल हैं उनकी क्लास में आके उन्होंने अनाउंसमेंट किया कि यदि आप किसी की अच्छाई नहीं देख पा रहे तो कुछ भी मत बोलो उस स्थिति में। तो इसलिए हमें कोशिश करना चाहिए दूसरों के अच्छे गुण देखने के लिए। और महाराज बता रहे हैं कि जब आपका मैनेजमेंट का कोई सेवा है, जैसे कि पेरेंट्स हैं या आप टीचर हैं, तो अगर आपके अंदर कंपैशन है और आप दूसरे को मदद करने की दृष्टि से उसको कुछ समझा रहे हैं तो वो अपराध नहीं है। लेकिन अगर आप उसको दिखाना चाह रहे हैं कि आप कितने अच्छे हो तो उसमें अपराध होता है।
There was a Christian song, it's still around, popular, from the 1945 or something. Accentuate the positive.
गलतियों को देखेंगे तो समझ आएगा।
My own fault. He's showing me what I see this because I have it. I'm very familiar with this defect.
तो हम जब दूसरों की कमियां देखें तो हमें समझना चाहिए कि कृष्ण हमें दर्पण दिखा रहे हैं, वो मेरे अपने अंदर की कमियां हैं, इसीलिए मैं उनको देख पा रहा हूं दूसरों में।
Okay, go ahead.
Pray.
Thank you, Maharaj. Maharaj, the question is, how can I serve Krishna better? How do I strictly follow the 4 regulative principles and how can I improve my chanting? So भक्त का प्रश्न है कि मैं भगवान कृष्ण की सेवा और अच्छे कैसे कर सकता हूँ, 4 नियमों को कैसे अच्छे से पालन कर सकता हूँ और अपने जप को कैसे सुधार सकता हूँ।
Join a lot of kirtans.
कीर्तन में भाग लेना चाहिए खूब सारा।
Go out and spread the holy name.
बाहर जाके हरि नाम का प्रचार करना चाहिए।
Come and stay with the devotees. Live in the ashram.
Associate with devotees.
भक्तों के साथ आकर रहना चाहिए, मंदिर ज्वाइन करना चाहिए, आश्रम।
Everyone in the ashram strictly follows 4 regulated principles.
तो आश्रम में रहने वाले सारे भक्त जो है कड़ाई से 4 नियमों का पालन करते हैं।
But if you can't do that physically, you can also just, we can associate as much as possible.
तो यदि वो आपकी स्थिति में संभव ना हो तो जितना हो सके उतना ज़्यादा भक्तों के साथ संग करना चाहिए।
Rupa Goswami in Upadeshamrita, when the verse of what not to do, it says, don't associate with mundane people, and what to do, it says associate with, give up the association of mundane people, asatsanga, tyaga, Vaishnava Acharya, you give up the bad association.
श्रील रूप गोस्वामी उपदेशामृता में बताते हैं कि कैसे हमें असत्संग को त्याग करना है।
Especially if you see a so-called devotee who's always criticizing devotees, stay far away.
अगर आपको विशेष रूप से कोई ऐसा भक्त मिलता है जो हमेशा दूसरे भक्तों की निंदा करता है तो उससे काफी दूर रहना चाहिए।
Plug your ears and get away from it.
उनसे दूरी बना के रखना चाहिए।
All right.
Thank you, Maharaj. The next question devotee has asked, Maharaj, during Tulsi Aarti, sometimes we sing Vishnu Bhakti Pradedevi and many devotees says Krishna Bhakti. So what is the difference and what is correct? तो जब हम तुलसी आरती गाते हैं तो उसमें कभी विष्णु भक्ति बोलते हैं, कभी कृष्ण भक्ति बोलते हैं, तो इसमें से कौन सा सही है?
Well, when I joined the movement, we were taught Vishnu Bhakti Pradedevi.
तो महाराज बता रहे कि जब मैं संस्था में जुड़ा तो हमें विष्णु भक्ति प्रदेदेवी बताया गया था।
Over the years, some devotees decided that Vishnu and Krishna are the same. So if we want, we can also put Krishna there.
तो फिर आगे जाके यही समझ आया कि विष्णु और कृष्ण सेम है।
But originally the mantra which was given to us was Vishnu Bhakti Pradedevi.
तो जो हमें शुरुआत में जो मंत्र दिया गया वो विष्णु भक्ति प्रदेदेवी बताया गया था।
Go ahead.
Maharaj. The next question is how to remain always enthusiastic in sadhana, seva and morning program even in bad health. How to handle name and fame in bhakti. So भक्त का प्रश्न है कि साधना में कैसे हमेशा सुदृढ़ रहें अगर हमारा तबीयत खराब हो तब भी, और अपना नाम जो हमारा फैल रहा है, नाम हो रहा है, उससे हम कैसे बचें?
Well, in bad health, you want to be careful.
तो जब आपका तबीयत खराब हो तो आपको थोड़ा ध्यान रखना चाहिए.
You don't want to give everyone your bad health.
आपको अपना बीमारी दूसरों को नहीं देना चाहिए.
At the same time, you don't want to give up your sadhana.
और उसके साथ साथ हमें ये भी ध्यान रखना है कि हमारी साधना भी हम खराब ना कर लें.
I remember as a young brahmachari in the New York temple, Jayadvaita Swami would come crawling to the temple arti in the morning for Mangal arti.
तो महाराज कह रहे कि एक युवा ब्रह्मचारी की जो याद करते हुए मुझे याद आ रहा है कि श्रील जयद्वैत स्वामी सुबह सुबह आते थे एक तरह से रेंगते हुए मंदिर में.
At that time he was also a brahmachari.
उस समय वो भी ब्रह्मचारी थे.
But he was so attached to the morning program, even though he was not able to walk, he came crawling.
लेकिन वो सुबह के प्रोग्राम से इतना ज़्यादा आकर्षित थे कि वो चल भी नहीं सकते थे, तो किसी भी तरह से घिसट के पहुंचते थे वहाँ.
So you don't want to try to keep your sadhana even in bad health.
तो जब आपकी तबीयत सही नहीं भी हो उस समय भी हमें अपनी साधना को नहीं छोड़ना चाहिए.
You should think this is a test from Krishna.
तो हमें ये समझना चाहिए कि ये भगवान की परीक्षा है हमारे लिए.
Krishna wants to see how serious I am to do my sadhana.
भगवान ये देखना चाहते हैं कि मैं अपनी साधना के प्रति कितना गंभीर हूँ.
Just like women, after they have a child, it's very difficult for them bringing up a child and keeping up their sadhana and doing their chanting.
जिस तरह से कि जब महिलाएं बच्चों को जन्म देती हैं उसके बाद बच्चों को ध्यान रखना, उस समय उनको अपनी साधना अपना जप करना ये बहुत मुश्किल हो जाता है.
But after some time, as the child begins to grow, then they want to get their sadhana again, and those who are serious about sadhana will try to make up for the rounds which they have missed.
तो लेकिन बाद में जैसे ही वो बच्चा थोड़ा सा बड़ा होता है, संभलने लगता है, तो वो माता जी कोशिश करते हैं कि जो भी उनका साधना में कमी रहा पिछले दिनों में उसको, और कोई माला छूटा तो उसको पूरा करने के लिए तुरंत वो आतुर होते हैं.
And we're not fanatic, you know. There's one talk where Prabhupada is talking so strict about you have to do this, you have to do that. Then at the end he says, but we're not fanatic. If you're really sick, you have to take rest, you know.
तो
If you can have a Manasa Mangalarti in the hospital.
तो महाराज बता रहे कि हमें साथ साथ समझदारी भी लगाना है. अगर हम बहुत बीमार हैं तो उस समय हम आराम भी कर सकते हैं. हम लोग को फैनेटिक नहीं बनना है. श्रील प्रभुपाद जी एक बार बता रहे थे कि कैसे हमें उसका ध्यान रखना है. हमें बहुत मॉर्निंग प्रोग्राम को बहुत सीरियस लेना है, लेकिन जब हम तबीयत सही नहीं है तो फैनेटिक भी नहीं होना है. लेकिन मानसी सेवा हम कर सकते हैं. आप लेटे हुए भी मंगल आरती भगवान को अर्पण कर सकते हैं.
But, you know, we have to especially just save whatever we have so we can chant our rounds.
तो जो भी उस स्थिति में
Don't use up all your energy crawling, you know, trying to, you know, wash pots all day or something. You have to rest to recover.
तो जितना ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा प्रैक्टिकल हो हमें उस समय उतना आराम करना है ताकि हम अपना जप कम से कम अच्छे से कर पाएं.
When you're glorified, well, we spoke about that already, about glorification. You have to see, give the credit. It's not for us to be glorified, but we offer that to our spiritual teachers and to Krishna.
तो महाराज ने बताया जो अपने नाम हमारा फैल रहा है उससे बचना चाहते हैं, तो जो भी हमें तारीफ मिल रही है उसको गुरु और कृष्ण को अर्पण करना है, वो हमें समझना है. Thank you, Maharaj. Next question the devotee has asked. This is not. Maharaj, next question is the relationship with the holy name ultimately the key factor in devotional service? तो भक्त का प्रश्न है कि हरि नाम से हमारा जो संबंध है वो ही क्या सबसे महत्वपूर्ण फैक्टर है भक्ति में?
Yeah. This is, Sachinandan Swami thinks very deeply and tries to really help devotees. And I was listening to his Holy Name retreat last year, and he was stressing that you have to have a relation with Krishna.
तो महाराज बता रहे हैं श्रील सच्चिदानंद स्वामी महाराज ऐसे कई सारा रिट्रीट करते हैं जिसमें इस बात पे काफी जोर देते हैं कि हमें भगवान के नाम से संबंध होना चाहिए.
These names, they're not just some words, there's Krishna.
तो भगवान का जो नाम है वो भगवान से अभिन्न है, स्वयं कृष्ण है.
So we can serve Krishna and develop a relationship. Of course, that means start with a relationship with devotees.
तो हमें हरि नाम से
Good
संबंध
relationships.
हरि नाम से संबंध बनाना है तो उसकी शुरुआत है भक्तों से अच्छा संबंध बनाने से.
Service attitude.
सेवा की भावना के साथ.
And then you get a relationship with your spiritual master more closely.
और फिर आप अपने गुरु से आपका संबंध और घनिष्ठ होता है.
And then Krishna also. Krishna is always there.
भगवान हमेशा है ही.
So we have to think like that. Then we can get more attached to get a taste for the holy name.
और फिर हमें हरि नाम में टेस्ट आने लगेगा और ज़्यादा हम उससे अटैच हो पाएंगे.
It's a chance. Japa is an intimate association with Krishna.
तो हम अपने जप को भगवान से गूढ़मयी संबंध के साथ जप कर सकेंगे.
One Parikrama I was asked to talk about what is it, prayer? How do you say? Prabandhanam.
तो एक परिक्रमा
I looked in the dictionary and it said, it's a conversation with God. See,
तो
having an intimate conversation with God.
तो महाराज बता रहे एक परिक्रमा में मुझे वंदनम टॉपिक पे बोलना था और जब मैंने उस शब्द को डिक्शनरी में देखा तो उन्होंने उस डिक्शनरी में था कि भगवान से घनिष्ठ वार्तालाप संबंध.
Mostly religions teach prayer means you're asking, give me something. We want, give me service, and we glorify the Lord, and then you get a relationship with Him.
तो ज़्यादातर लोग भगवान से प्रार्थना करते हैं, वो कुछ मांगते हैं, भगवान मुझे दीजिए, लेकिन हम भगवान को जो जप कर रहे हैं उसमें भगवान से सेवा मांग रहे हैं, उस सेवा के माध्यम से भगवान से संबंध स्थापित कर सकते हैं.
And Krishna is very happy when we glorify devotees.
और जब हम भक्तों का गुणगान करते हैं तो कृष्ण बहुत प्रसन्न होते हैं.
If it's genuine, that we really think they're worthy of it.
अगर वो गुणगान जो है जेन्युइन है तो भगवान उससे बहुत प्रसन्न होते हैं.
Okay.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Yes.
The next question, Maharaj. Sometimes we see devotees coming and leaving our movement. Not ordinary devotees, sometimes big stable devotees also leave. How to maintain enthusiasm in spite of this situation? तो हम देखते हैं कि हमारी संस्था में भक्त आते हैं और कई सारे भक्त चले भी जाते हैं और ये भक्त छोटे मोटे भक्त नहीं होते, बहुत बड़े बड़े भक्त होते हैं, काफ़ी समय से भक्ति कर रहे होते हैं. तो ऐसे समय में हम कैसे उत्साह बनाकर रखें?
Well, we have to understand material energy is very powerful.
तो हमें समझना होगा कि भौतिक शक्ति भगवान की बहुत शक्तिशाली है.
Actually, we spoke about this earlier, about how even great demigods can be a victim to Maya.
तो हमने इसके बारे में पहले भी बात की थी कि बड़े बड़े देवी देवता भी जो है माया के प्रभाव में आ जाते हैं.
But anyone who comes to the Krishna consciousness movement and does some service is for their eternal benefit.
तो जब भी कोई कृष्ण भक्ति में आता है और कुछ सेवा करता है तो उसका वो सनातन उससे लाभ होता है हमेशा के लिए.
And devotional service is eternal. So after some time they will come, they will return and they will again continue devotional service from the point where they left off.
तो भगवान की जो सेवा है वो सनातन है. तो कई बार बहुत बार वो देखा जाता है कि जो भक्त छोड़ कर गए थे जिस स्थान पर वो फिर वापस भक्ति में वापस आ जाते हैं.
Yeah, it's like in a war time or something, someone may be captured by the enemy or killed, when they fight very bravely in the front lines.
जैसे कि युद्ध के समय में कभी
they put themselves in danger and sometimes they get killed, but we don't condemn them for that way, they glorify them.
तो महाराज बता रहे कि युद्ध के समय कई बार सैनिक जो है या तो घायल हो जाते हैं, कई बार मृत्यु भी उनकी हो जाती है क्योंकि वो बहुत आगे बढ़कर लड़ते हैं, तो उस समय हम उनकी निंदा नहीं करते बल्कि उनको गुणगान करते हैं.
Advaita Maharaj said something like, they prove the philosophy because there must be some offense or some, Vaishnava aparad or some not doing their sadhana, and that's why they left. So it actually proves the philosophy.
तो महाराज बता रहे
we should try to hang in there.
तो महाराज बता रहे हैं कि ऐसे घटनाओं से हमें ये जो सिद्धांत है उस पे भी हम उस पे हम बहुत अच्छे से समझ आ जाता है कि क्योंकि हम देख पाते हैं कि उन्होंने या तो कुछ वैष्णव अपराध किया या फिर अपनी साधना नहीं की, तो उससे हमारे लिए भी वो शिक्षाप्रद बन जाता है कि हमें सावधान रहना होगा.
Yeah, some people leave, but not all.
महाराज कह रहे कुछ ही लोग कभी संस्था को छोड़कर जाते हैं, ज्यादा लोग नहीं.
There's much more people stay in the Krishna consciousness movement than go out.
बहुत सारे भक्त कृष्ण भक्ति में जीवन भर बने रहते हैं, बाहर नहीं जाते.
So look for the ones who stay and follow them, stick with them.
और उन लोगों को देखना चाहिए जो हमेशा बने हुए हैं संस्था में और उनके ही रास्ते पे चलना चाहिए.
And you take more responsibility about this. How do you maintain enthusiasm? Of course, you want to be with enthusiastic people because.
तो महाराज ने कहा ऐसे भक्तों का संग करना चाहिए जो भक्ति में बहुत उत्साहित हों.
But if you could ask Maharaj, somebody's always asking, when are you going to come here? Can you come here? We want you to come here. And you just keep getting dragged around.
तो जैसे अब महाराज को सब
no matter how lazy you feel, and you feel like, oh, they want me to come, and what can I do? Because devotees are very merciful, they try to help us on it.
तो महाराज कह रहे कि भक्त भी बहुत दयालु होते हैं, जैसे हमें वो बुलाते रहते हैं बार बार कि आइए आइए, अगर हम आलस आ भी रहा होता है तो देखते हैं भक्त बुला रहे हैं, तो इस तरह से भक्त भी हमें कृपा करते हैं, हम उत्साह में रहते हैं. Thank you, Maharaj. So Maharaj, here the devotee has come and he is sharing that unfortunately some devotee is lost in the Ganges, and devotees are feeling very uncomfortable and disturbed, so they need some words to pacify. एक दुर्घटना से एक भक्त अभी गंगा जी में वो चले गए, तो भक्त चाहते हैं कि महाराज कुछ ऐसा बताएं जिससे उनका वो बहुत घबरा गए सभी भक्त.
Yes, well, we live by the grace of Krishna, and we die, we leave the body by the grace of Krishna, right? We say Mari Krishna Rakhe Krishna Mari Ke. So Krishna must have had some plan to take this devotee away from us.
तो हमारा जीवन और मृत्यु दोनों भगवान की ही इच्छा से चलता है, और भगवान का कोई ना कोई प्लान होगा उस भक्त के बारे में.
I heard the devotee who was with him was telling him, don't go out there. He wanted to go swimming out into the center of the Ganga. So the devotee who was with him told him, oh, don't go out there. But he didn't listen, and he went out and he didn't come back.
So महाराज बता रहे कि मुझे ऐसा सुनने को मिला है कि जो भक्त उनके साथ में थे, उन्होंने उस भक्त को पुकार रहे थे कि आप इतना अंदर मत जाइए, गंगा बीच में बहुत तेज है, लेकिन वो भक्त उसको सुने नहीं और फिर वापस नहीं आए.
So there's danger in every step. Last year also we lost one young boy, a local boy, young boy. This year we lost another devotee, young man.
तो महाराज बता रहे कि हर एक कदम पर खतरा है, और पिछले साल भी एक युवा भक्त, युवा लोकल व्यक्ति यहाँ के वो डूब गए, और इस बार एक भक्त चले गए.
And today also one lady also fell and was injured. She was taken. Fortunately, it's not very serious, and I think she's recovered.
और आज एक माता जी भी फिसल कर गिर गई और उनको कुछ चोट लगा, लेकिन सौभाग्य से ज़्यादा दिक्कत नहीं है और उनको ट्रीटमेंट करा रहे हैं भक्त.
So Srila Rameshwara Prabhu, he was in Mayapur when news came from Los Angeles about one devotee who was in charge of the archives department, and how he left the body suddenly, that he was in good health, but suddenly he departed from the world. So Rameshwara spoke to everyone and said, this can happen to any of us at any time. So we have to be ready. You have to be on guard.
तो महाराज बता रहे हैं कि श्री रामेश्वर प्रभु जी उस समय मायापुर में थे और लॉस एंजलिस से उनको खबर आया कि एक भक्त जो कि आर्काइव्स डिपार्टमेंट के इंचार्ज थे, अचानक से, हालांकि वो बिल्कुल स्वस्थ थे, तो वो अचानक से उनका मृत्यु हो गया। और फिर रामेश्वर प्रभु ने उस समय बोला कि ये हम सब में से किसी के साथ भी ऐसा कभी भी हो सकता है, हमें हमेशा तैयार रहना होगा।
You know, some people get warning and some people don't get any warning.
कई लोगों को चेतावनी मिलता है और कई लोगों को चेतावनी नहीं मिलता है।
We don't know when we're going to have to leave this world.
हमें इस बात का बिल्कुल पता नहीं है कि हमें इस जगत से कब जाना पड़ेगा।
But we know that one day we're going to have to leave the world.
लेकिन ये निश्चित है कि एक दिन तो हमें जरूर यहाँ से छोड़ के जाना होगा।
So we have to be ready to depart from this body. We don't know what is Krishna's plan to take us.
तो हमें हर समय तैयार रहना पड़ेगा, इस शरीर कभी भी त्यागना पड़ेगा, हमें पता नहीं भगवान का क्या प्लान है हमारे लिए।
So we have to constantly practice remembering Krishna.
तो हमें हमेशा भगवान को स्मरण करें, ऐसा हमें अभ्यास करते रहना होगा।
Right? Maharaj Kulashekar's prayer is very nice. Krishna tvadiya padapankaja panjarantam Ajaiva me vishatu manasa rajahamsa Prana prayana kapaye kapavata pitaye Kantavaro dhanavido
Smaranam
smaranam.
kutaste.
Maharaj Kulashekar is praying, let me die now while I can still chant the holy name. If I have to wait until time of death, my throat may be choked up with mucus and I won't be able to chant feelingly. So let me chant now, and let the swan of my mind be entangled in the stem of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna.
तो महाराज बता रहे हैं कि महाराज कुलशेखर का जो प्रार्थना है इसमें बहुत शिक्षाप्रद है, जिसमें महाराज कुलशेखर ये प्रार्थना कर रहे हैं कि मेरा अभी मृत्यु हो जाए, क्योंकि अभी मैं भगवान का दिव्य नाम जप कर पा रहा हूँ, और अगर पता नहीं जब बाद में मेरा गला कफ से भर जाएगा उस समय मैं भगवान का नाम शायद ना ले पाऊँ, तो अभी मृत्यु आ जाए। और फिर बताते हैं कि मेरे मन का जो स्वयं है वो भगवान के लोटस के जो कमल है उसकी जो स्टेम है उसमें हमेशा रम जाए।
And of all different ways to leave your body, drowning in the Ganga, you couldn't really find a better way. More
महाराज बता रहे हैं
much better than getting hit by a car, or a plane crash, and shot in the street in the subway station of New York or something. It's very auspicious, the Ganga.
तो महाराज बता रहे हैं कि वो भक्त जो है वो गंगा जी में गए हैं, तो वो बाकी कई तरह की मृत्यु से बहुत शुभ है। वो गंगा में गए हैं, जो जैसे कि प्लेन क्रैश होना या सड़क पे कोई गोली मार दे या कोई एक्सीडेंट से मर जाएं, वो सब मृत्यु से बहुत अच्छा है कि गंगा जी के शरण मिला।
People want to just travel when they think they're going to die, just to be on the bank of the Ganga, but to be in the Ganga.
कई भक्त ऐसा प्रार्थना करते हैं कि जब उनका मृत्यु हो तो वो गंगा जी के तट पर हो, लेकिन ये भक्त को गंगा जी के अंदर ही स्थान मिला।
But swimming we have to be very careful, and not that we should take too many chances.
तो लेकिन ये
we don't know the current, like the rivers are really crazy, and you don't know what kind of current when you go out there. So they have these whirlpools that pull you down and all kinds of things. So you can't know about it.
तो महाराज
stick close, where the guards are. Every beach tells you that.
महाराज बता रहे हैं कि लेकिन ये तैरने से ये हमें इसको मजाक में नहीं लेना चाहिए, बहुत सीरियस बात है। नदियों में किस तरह से पानी का प्रभाव है, कैसा करंट है, उसको हम समझ नहीं पा सकते, और कई बार नीचे एकदम से गड्ढा होता है तो इसलिए सबसे सुरक्षित यही है कि बाहर में बिल्कुल जहाँ तक जगह हो, एक उपयुक्त जहाँ तक गार्ड कोई चीज़ लगा हो रोकने के लिए, वहाँ तक ही हम नहाएं, ज़्यादा खिलवाड़ ना करें.
And to die on parikrama is also very good in some ways. It's a very fortunate time to leave the body.
और महाराज बता रहे कि
in Mayapur.
परिक्रमा में मायापुर में भी इस समय में ये बड़ा शुभ है एक तरह से कि उन्होंने शरीर त्यागा.
All right, go ahead.
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you, Maharaj. So here the devotee is asking, whenever we serve devotees as much as we can, but whenever we want or we need support or service from devotees on that time, we did not get. Why? Why is it so? So भक्त का प्रश्न है कि कई बार हम दूसरे भक्तों का बहुत सेवा करते हैं, जितना ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा हम मन लगा के उनका सेवा करते हैं, लेकिन जब हमें उनसे किसी मदद या सपोर्ट की ज़रूरत होती है तो नहीं मिलती है. तो ऐसा क्यों होता है?
Well, I don't know. There are many different circumstances to that kind of question. I don't know all the details. What kind of service you expected to get? What kind of help you were looking for from the devotees?
तो महाराज बता रहे हैं कि ये जो प्रश्न है ये इसमें क्या परिस्थिति है, क्या एग्जैक्टली किस परिप्रेक्ष्य में पूछा गया, ये समझना मुश्किल है कि किस तरह का आपको भक्तों से अपेक्षा है मदद का.
Yeah, I mean, you want help. I don't know. I mean, usually we're taught to take care of ourselves. We have to become strong and be able to look after our own difficulties. You have some problems, you can't expect other people are all going to help you to take care of all your difficulties.
तो महाराज बता रहे कि हमें प्रयास करना चाहिए कि अपने से हम इतना मजबूत रहें हर चीज़ में कि हम अपना ध्यान रख पाएँ आने जाने वाली कठिनाइयों के बीच में भी. आप ऐसा उम्मीद नहीं कर सकते कि भक्त हमेशा रहें और आपको मदद करें.
Sometimes devotees' expectations are unreasonable.
Somebody caught on. But so that was in the very beginning of internet communications.
तो महाराज बता रहे कि मेरा अपना मुझे उदाहरण याद है कि मैं जब ऐसे कोमा में चला गया.
Ancient history before any of you were born, probably. But
ये जो इतिहास है आप में से कई लोग पैदा नहीं हुए थे उससे पहले का है. तो मैं उस समय कोमा में चला गया. मुझे नहीं पता उस समय क्या चल रहा था. पहले तो भक्तों को पता ही नहीं चला कि मेरे को क्या बीमारी है, कैसे ठीक होना है, लेकिन बाद में फिर किसी को समझ आया. उस समय इंटरनेट इतना काम चालू नहीं हुआ था.
so I think it was Veer Krishna Maharaj. He put on the internet, whoever could hear it, he's going to die. There's absolutely no chance of living. It's guaranteed he's going to die, and everyone should just pray.
तो इंटरनेट में आजकल इस तरह से आता है कि यदि कोई भक्त का बहुत सीरियस हो जाते हैं, पता चल जाता है कि शरीर त्यागने वाले, तो ऐसा डालते हैं कि सब लोग उनके लिए प्रार्थना करें.
And then I learned later, many temples, many devotees, they did 24-hour kirtan.
और इसी तरह से उस समय इंटरनेट तो इतना स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं था, लेकिन बाद में पता चला कई मंदिरों ने 24 घंटा कीर्तन किया मेरे स्वास्थ्य के लिए.
So at least once in my life I inspired devotees to chant. I don't want to try it again.
तो महाराज कह रहे एक बार ऐसा हुआ, मैं दोबारा नहीं ऐसा.
And they said, oh, it's great, we never did that before.
भक्त बहुत सीरियस थे इसको लेकर. उन्होंने पहले कभी नहीं किया था ऐसा, केवल जब मेरे स्वास्थ्य के लिए उन्होंने ऐसा प्रार्थना किया.
And then I came out of it like pretty quick. The doctors were quite surprised.
और फिर मैं बहुत जल्दी ठीक हो गया. डॉक्टर भी बहुत हैरान थे.
But devotees do things like that all the time.
तो भक्त इस तरह से
Big or small, locally or internationally or whatever. Devotees generally like to help others, but sometimes they're not able to give you, like Maharaj says, you want something that they can't give you.
तो महाराज बता रहे कि लोकल हो या इंटरनेशनल हो, भक्तों का ज़्यादातर स्वभाव मदद करने का ही होता है. लेकिन जैसे महाराज बता रहे हैं कि हो सकता है आपकी जो उम्मीद है वो बहुत ज़्यादा है और वो दे ही नहीं सकते हो आपको.
But we should always be trying to help devotees, spiritually, materially, physically, mentally, and whatever they need. And as long as we're really ourselves engaged properly in making festivals and kirtans, and you're helping everybody.
तो महाराज बता रहे कि अपने आप को हमें स्ट्रांग रखने का प्रयास करना चाहिए, फिजिकली, मेंटली, स्पिरिचुअली, और हमें ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा अपने आप को कीर्तन में, फेस्टिवल्स में लगाना चाहिए.
Yeah, we had one devotee in the Philippines. He had to get a liver transplant, and tomorrow Krishna Goswami Maharaj, he said the temple has to take care and help him and get the operation, give the money.
तो श्रील तमाल कृष्ण गोस्वामी महाराज के समय में एक भक्त फिलीपींस के, उनको लीवर ट्रांसप्लांट करना था, तो महाराज ने बताया कि मंदिर को कि उनको मदद कीजिए, धन दीजिए.
When Shamasundar Prabhu, the original Shamasundar, he needed this, it's a liver transplant, but it's a living transplant. Somebody else donates part of their liver, and then they put it in you, and they both grow back.
तो महाराज बता रहे हैं कि श्याम सुंदर प्रभु जी को भी इस तरह से लीवर ट्रांसप्लांट का ज़रूरत था, और वो लिविंग ट्रांसप्लांट था कि एक व्यक्ति है वो कुछ अपना लीवर का पार्ट दे रहे हैं आपको.
So usually when someone needs that, there may be one or two like relatives or somebody that will volunteer to give their liver.
तो ज़्यादातर कोई,
it takes a long time to recover.
तो ये कोई छोटा बात नहीं है, और ज़्यादातर कोई बहुत घनिष्ठ रिश्तेदार होता है वो ऐसा सहयोग पाता है, क्योंकि खुद को ठीक होने में भी उसके बाद बहुत समय लग जाता है.
They had like 30 devotees were volunteering their livers. And the doctors were saying, "Who is this guy? You never heard of such a thing before."
तो हमारे सारे 30 भक्तों ने वॉलेंटियर किया कि हम इस सेवा के लिए तैयार हैं, ऐसा कभी सुना नहीं था पहले.
And so one devotee gave his liver after they checked, and both of them are fine now.
और फिर एक भक्त ने उनको वो लीवर दिया, और अभी वो दोनों सही हैं.
And the insurance paid for everything. Special mercy.
तो ये विशेष कृपा है भक्तों का.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Maharaj. So here the devotee is asking, with all respects and humility, Maharaj, I want to submit inquiry that did you Maharaj, not a, sorry, I'll go to the next question. Hare Krishna Maharaj, I have a great desire to stay in Vrindavan and Govardhan and do bhakti, but my senior are saying not to stay in Vrindavan and stay in local temple and serve. I have intense desire to stay in Vrindavan. तो भक्त का प्रश्न है कि मुझे वृंदावन में रहने का बहुत तीव्र इच्छा है, लेकिन सीनियर भक्त कहते हैं वृंदावन में नहीं रहो, लोकल मंदिर में रहो, तो क्या करना चाहिए?
Well,
the temple is the spiritual world.
yeah.
Every
You can make wherever you're worshipping Radha and Krishna.
तो मंदिर जो है वो आध्यात्मिक जगत है पूरा.
Vrindavan is not really meant for neophyte devotees.
वृंदावन नए भक्तों के लिए उपयुक्त नहीं है.
Vrindavan is meant more for people retiring.
वृंदावन उन लोगों के लिए है जो अभी रिटायर हो रहे हैं एक तरह से.
So I think you should follow the temple authorities.
आपको
You
मंदिर
may
में
think, oh, they just need me to work in their temple and blah, 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 but generally older devotees know what's good for you, and
आपको हो सकता है कि लगे कि ये मंदिर के जो अधिकारी हैं आपसे उनको सेवा लेनी है, इसलिए कह रहे हैं कि नहीं जाओ, लेकिन वास्तविकता में वो सीनियर भक्त आपका अच्छा जानते होंगे.
Haridas Thakur never went to Vrindavan.
श्रीला हरिदास ठाकुर कभी वृंदावन नहीं गए.
Srivas Thakur never went to
श्रीवास
Vrindavan.
ठाकुर जी भी कभी नहीं गए.
Many of Lord Chaitanya's associates never went to Vrindavan.
श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु के कई सारे पार्षद कभी वृंदावन नहीं गए.
Many devotees also, and they've done service their whole life. But
ऐसे कई भक्त हैं जिन्होंने पूरा जीवन भर सेवा किया है, लेकिन
and then, Krishna may be trying to intensify your desire, so you go somewhere else and you serve, but you try to make that place Vrindavan, and you just think, when will I get to Vrindavan? Like Madhavendra Puri, at the end of his life, he was crying, when will I get Mathura? I never got to Mathura. I never got there.
तो महाराज बता रहे हैं कि तो हो सकता है भगवान आपकी इच्छा को और तीव्र करना चाह रहे हो, तो जिस भी स्थान में रहें वहाँ पर आप उसको वृंदावन बनाने की कोशिश कीजिए और हमेशा ये सोचते रहिए कि कब मैं वृंदावन जाऊँगा। श्रीला माधवेंद्र पुरी जो है वो भी अपने जीवन के अंत में यही सोचते थे कि मुझे वृंदावन, मुझे मथुरा जाना है।
Yeah, you have to be qualified to go and live in Vrindavan. The qualification is that you've done a lot of service. You're mature and you're fixed up in your devotional service.
तो महाराज बता रहे हैं हमें वृंदावन जाने के लिए योग्यता होनी चाहिए। भक्ति में हमने खूब सारी सेवा की है और हम उतना भी मैच्योर और समझदार हो गए हैं भक्ति में, तो ये योग्यता चाहिए।
Vrindavan is not a place for neophytes.
वृंदावन नए भक्तों के लिए स्थान नहीं है।
Talk about going to state Govardhan. That's very extreme, you know. There's not a lot of people around Govardhan.
और जो आप गोवर्धन में रहने की बात कर रहे हैं वो भी एक एक्सट्रीम स्थिति की बात कर रहे हैं।
And what are you going to do there?
आप गोवर्धन जाके रहोगे तो करोगे क्या वहाँ?
So you're definitely better to stay in the local temple, work there and get trained up in devotional service.
तो ज़्यादा अच्छा होगा कि आप लोग रहिए और भक्ति में ट्रेनिंग लीजिए अच्छे से।
And preach.
प्रचार कीजिए।
Go ahead.
Thank you. The next question devotee has asked, how senior devotee should deal to junior? Because there are sometimes when senior to junior to let them come to the right track. So how I should deal to junior so that junior not left bhakti because of hard words and I make junior for progress him in bhakti. तो भक्त का प्रश्न है कि एक सीनियर भक्त होने के नाते मुझे क्या करना चाहिए कि जूनियर भक्त को मैं क्योंकि सही रास्ते पे लाने के लिए डांटता हूँ, तो ऐसा क्या करूँ कि वो भाग न जाए भक्ति से और मैं उसको भक्ति में बढ़ाता भी रहूँ।
Generally, seniors have to be merciful in dealing with juniors.
ज़्यादातर वरिष्ठ भक्तों को जूनियर भक्तों से व्यवहार में बहुत कृपालु होना चाहिए।
The juniors today and the future will become the seniors.
क्योंकि वो जूनियर आगे जाके सीनियर बनेंगे।
You have to be you have to deal with them respectfully and help them in their devotional service so they can progress nicely.
तो हमें आदर के साथ उनसे व्यवहार करना चाहिए, उनको मदद करना चाहिए ताकि कृष्ण भक्ति में आगे बढ़ पाएं।
We want the juniors also to become like seniors.
तो हम जूनियर्स को भी चाहते हैं कि एक दिन वो भी सीनियर्स बनेंगे।
Titikshava Karunika. You know that verse? Who spoke that?
Kapila.
Kapila. Repeat, everybody. Titikshava Karunika.
Titikshava Karunika.
Who knows what that means? Tolerance and mercy. And then Surida Sarva Bhutanam. Surida Sarva Bhutanam.
Surida Sarva Bhutanam.
And what does that mean? Best friend of everyone. You have to be friendly. It's very important in preaching, in marriage, in teaching, everything. Friendship is very important. Even though you may be in a so-called superior position, you have to be friendly.
तो महाराज बता रहे हैं कि मित्रता का मैत्रीपूर्ण भाव बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है, चाहे वो विवाह हो, चाहे आप टीचर हो, तो चाहे आप प्रचारक हो, ये मैत्रीपूर्ण भाव बहुत जरूरी है।
What's the next line?
Ajata Shatravat.
Ajata Shatravat Santu. Doesn't have any enemies. Yudhishthira was called Ajatava. He didn't have any enemies. Ajatava Shatra.
उनका कोई शत्रु नहीं है।
But you can say, well, you know, Duryodhana hated Yudhishthira. Duryodhana hated Yudhishthira.
दुर्योधन जो है वो युधिष्ठिर से
like he had enemies.
ईर्ष्या करते थे।
But he didn't think of himself as the enemy. And this is my enemy.
युधिष्ठिर महाराज किसी को अपना शत्रु नहीं समझते थे।
And then Sadhu Bhushanam, he decorated with all the qualities of a sadhu.
और एक साधु के सभी गुणों से
Saint Francis of Assisi said, we should always be preaching.
तो हमें हमेशा प्रचार करना चाहिए.
A Christian saint, Prabhupada said he's self-realized. And sometimes we might have to talk, he said.
और हमें हमेशा अपने आचार से प्रचार करना चाहिए, लेकिन कुछ बार हमें बोलना चाहिए सिर्फ.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Okay.
Time.
You finish, yeah.
6
Time for
o'clock.
Aarti. Yeah, thank you. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada
Ki
ki.
jai. Thank you for all the questions.
Thank you, Maharaj. So we want to thank Maharajas for their wonderful nectarian answers by loudly chanting together, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.
Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
I met one Indian man, a young guy, some kind of engineer, I guess. He said he was going to make an AI Krishna.
एक मैं इंजीनियर को मिला, यंग एआई कृष्णा बनाना चाहते
And
हैं.
I thought, what, that sounds a little bit weird.
मैंने कहा ये कैसी बात कर रहे हैं.
But the idea was you could ask any question
लेकिन उसका आइडिया ये था कि उनसे आप कोई भी क्वेश्चन पूछ सकते हो,
and this Krishna would tell you the Bhagavad Gita verse which answers your question.
और वो कृष्ण जो है आपको भगवत गीता के श्लोक से आंसर देंगे, एआई वाले कृष्ण.
And the more I read Bhagavad Gita, I see that the answer to every question's there. Not technical questions, like that, how to fix your computer or something, but the basic questions about life. Everything is answered
तो अगर आप भगवत गीता को पढ़ेंगे
again and again.
उसमें हर तरह के जो बेसिक प्रश्न है जीवन के, उनका उत्तर है, बार बार दिया गया है.
Bhagavad Gita ki jai.
जय हिज होलीनेस श्रील कविचंद्र स्वामी महाराज की
जय.
हिज होलीनेस श्रील भक्ति विघ्न विनाश नरसिम्हा स्वामी महाराज की, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की.
Hello.
हरे कृष्ण कीर्तन जय राधा माधव.
जय गौरनिताय नमो विष्णु पदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामीरिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादिशतारिणे Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasa Gaura Bhakta Vrinda जय गौरांदेर आरती को शोभा जय गौरांदेर आरती को शोभा जानवी बने जगमन शोभा जानवी काट बने जगमन लोभा दखी नैनिताई चांद बामे गदाधार के बदखी ताई चांद बामे गदाधारा निकटे अद्वैत वास छत्रधारा बसे याचे गौराचान रत्न सिंहाने बसे याचे गौराचान रत्न सिंहाने तोरे ना ब्रह्मा आदि देवतारे आरती करे ना ब्रह्मा आदि देवतारे हरियादि चामर ढुलाया
बाजे घंटा बाजे मधुर 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 माधुर 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 गारे
गौरनिताय 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 जय गौरनिताय
गौरनिताय गौरनिताय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय
कोटि चंद्र जिने वदन उज्ज्वला
बहु कोटि चंद्र जिने वदन उजाला
बहु कोटि चंद्र जिने वदन उज्ज्वला
बहु कोटि चंद्र जिने वदन उजाला
काला देशे वनमाला कोरे झलमाला
काला देशे बनमाला बारे झलमाला
काला देशे वनमाला कोरे झलमाला
काला देशे बनमाला बारे झलमाला
शिव शुकनाराधा प्रेम गदाधारा
उपनारदा मेघदगा
भगति विनोदा देखे गौरा संसारा
भक्ति विनोद देखे गौरार संपाद
विनोदा देखे गौरा संसारा
भक्ति विनोद देखे गौरार संपाद
जय गौरानिताय गौरानिताय गौरानिताय
जय गौरानिताय 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 जय गौरानिताय
जय प्रभुपाद
हरि बोल
प्रभुपाद
जय प्रभुपाद 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 प्रभुपाद
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल
निताय गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल
कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम हरे राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम हरे राम 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 हरे हरे
कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम हरे राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम हरे राम राम हरे Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Gauranitai, Gauranitai, Gauranitai,
Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada.
Jai Vishnu Paramahamsa Privraj Acharya Statra Shishima Tridainda Swami Acharya Narayan Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Nitya Pramishtam Shishima Tridainda Swami Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada Ki. Shri Shri Guru Parampara Ki. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki. Shri Sadguru Swami Ki. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत राधा शिव सदी गौर भक्त वृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरि गोवर्धन की श्री ब्रजभूमि वृंदावन धाम की श्री मायापुर नवद्वीप धाम की श्री पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की गंगा देवी मनमाय की श्रीमती तुलसी महारानी भक्ति देवी की श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन यज्ञ की श्री श्री निताय पदकमला की भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी सो प्रभुपाद की इस्कॉन गुरु वृंद की समवेत भक्त वृंद की श्री नवद्वीप मंडल परिक्रमा की All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga, Srila Prabhupada ki.
जय जय श्री नृसिंहदेव भगवान की जय भक्तराज बल्लाल महाराज की
Namaste Narasimhaya. Pralada lada daine Hiranya kase purvaksha Shilatan kana kalaye Ito nitinga paratane simha Yato yato yamitato nisimha Pahe nisinga hridaya nisimha Nada singha madin paranam prapadye Sada Singam Madin Saranam Prapadye Abakara Kamala Vadinatam Adhuta Singam Dalita Hiranyakasipu Tanu Bringam Keshavadita Narahare Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Adhuta Singam Keshavadeta Narahare Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Dayane Semade Nisimade, Nisimade, Nisimade. Talad Mara, Talad Mara, Talad Mara, Talad Mahara. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gora Hari Bol.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Nitai Gaur Premanande, Shishi Bhakti Vigna Vinasan Singh Bhagavan ki, Shishi Bhaktarat Maharaj ki, Shishi Nita Parakamala ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.
Харе Кришна, дорогие преданные, пожалуйста, приходите все. Сейчас будет класс давать Бхакти Расаяна Сагара Махарадж.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So it's wonderful to see all the devotees, international group. And as Srila Jayapataka Maharaj showed by his example, first we need to check language. How many of you can understand English without any translation? Please raise your hands. Okay, good. So you can even understand English with Russian accent by Sagar Swami. Okay, good. You're real experts.
1 minute, Maharaj. Once we'll welcome Maharaj by Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol!
Hare Krishna.
और Mataji?
Not enough Bengalis here. Yeah. I think Uludwani is only popular in Bengal, right? Not even in other parts of India. Bengali special treat. So, please help your brothers and sisters who require translation. Let us see how many different languages we have here. Any French-speaking devotees? Okay. German-speaking, Italian-speaking, Spanish, Espanol, not so many. Okay, and different Indian languages, if you can organize translations for other devotees. And we'll start with traditional chanting of the pranam mantras to our spiritual masters, Srila Prabhupada, Vaishnavas, and the Supreme Lord. Om Agyantimirandasya Ginandana Salakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadam Mayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubevacha Patitanam Pavanepyo Vaishnavepyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Shimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Shri Navadwip Mandala Parikrama ki jai, Shri Guru Parampara ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, first of all, I wanted to thank all the devotees for taking part in this Navadwip Mandala Parikrama. I remember earlier devotees had special t-shirts with Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's quote on it.
which was saying that taking part in Navadwip Mandala Parikrama will liberate the whole world. And we may wonder how this is happening, but it is happening gradually. I mean, Krishna conscious process is quite mysterious because from material point of view, it doesn't seem like we are doing something meaningful, right? Like chanting Hare Krishna. Just 3 words, Hare Krishna Rama, for hours and hours. From material point of view, it's something completely strange, just waste of time, right? And so Navadvip Mandala Parikrama, just roaming around Navadvip, doesn't seem to be something which is effective, but because it is ordained by the Lord, it creates wonderful effect. As some of you might know from the history, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur started parikramas first, but it was met with great resistance. Onlookers were throwing stones at them and treating them. Many of them were, giving devotees very bad treatment, to such an extent that there was even a plot to kill Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And do we see anything like that now? No. We can see how things are changing. Rather, now people are happy by seeing the devotees. How many of you have met people who were happy to see you at Parikram, local people? So we can see things are changing. Because holy name is changing people's hearts. Of course, prasadam is changing people's hearts. And association with devotees changing people's hearts. And it is also changing our hearts. And when we go back to our places where we are doing our service, then we can influence by our association other people. And so this is practically how the whole world will get liberated. You will get liberated, and you will liberate everyone else just by doing Navadvip Mandala Parikrama. And this is very special service because normally you might get distracted by so many things, but if you are doing parikrama, there is only one thing you are focused on, right? Walking, chanting, hearing, associating with devotees. So it's the way to fully absorb ourselves in devotional service, which is wonderful. And thank you for staying back and listening to what Sagar Swami might say. And of course, the glories of Navadvip is not only that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu and Advaita Acharya, Gadadhar, Srivas, and all the devotees were here. The glories of Navadvip is that they are still here now, today. Still, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is performing his pastimes with all the associates. And it's only the matter of having eyes to see those pastimes. And actually, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is performing his pastimes all over the planet because of the desire of his pure devotees. He went all over the world. In how many of your centers, temples, and homes you have Shri Gaur Nitai deities? Please raise your hands. We can see Shri Gaur Nitai went everywhere, all over the world. And they wonderfully preaching and helping devotees in their spiritual advancement. And now we'll be reflecting on some of the pastimes Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed in here, in these wonderful places we are visiting. And these pastimes are numerous, and it's not possible to cover them all during these short stays. So we want to dedicate a little longer time in the evening. And I wanted, there was no specific requests for any specific pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So if you happy with that, we could read a little bit from Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat by Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, who is glorified in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita as Vyasadev of Krishna's pastime, of Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. And Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami emphatically urges his readers to read Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat as well. I think Srila Prabhupada made very effective decision to translate Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, because by reading Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita you are automatically prompted to read Chaitanya Bhagavat as well. And so, yeah, this is an amazing scripture. Of course, there are so many amazing scriptures glorifying Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One of them is Prema Vivarta by Srila Jagadananda Pandit. How many of you have read this book? Not very many. And it contains amazing descriptions and amazing philosophy. And one episode from Prema Vivarta is especially ecstatic, and it is describing how Navadvip and Sri Braj Bhumi are non-different, and how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is non-different from Krishna. So Jagadananda Pandit, who has been a classroom friend of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who later went, along with many others, to stay with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Jagannath Puri. But he is also from here, from Navadvip. And he described what he saw. He said one day, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, together with Gadadhar Pandit, another very close classroom friend of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they entered into the forest on the bank of Alakananda Ganga river. And there was a parrot there. And when the parrot saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw the parrot, he was quite happy, because Krishna likes parrots. Parrots do a lot of services to Krishna. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stretched his hand, inviting the parrot, and parrot very happily landed on his hand. And he looked at the parrot and he said, "Oh Shuka, you are the son of Srila Vyasadeva, Shukadeva Goswami, and you are always chanting the glories of Shri Shri Radha and Krishna, so can you please chant some glories of the holy name for us?" And you know what the parrot started chanting? Gaura, 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 Gaura. Gaura, 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 Gaura. Gaura, 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 Gaura. Gaura, 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 Gaura. Then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu pretended that he's angry with the parrot, that he started chanting his name rather than the names of Radha Krishna. So he chased the parrot away, and he said, "You're not chanting the right names. You should be chanting Hare Krishna." But the parrot, he landed on the branch on the branch of the tree nearby, and he said, "I am chanting what I'm supposed to be chanting, because Braj turned into Navadvip, and I see my Krishna as you. You are my Krishna, and Gadadhar Pandit is my Srimati Radharani. Therefore, chanting Gaura is chanting Hare Krishna." And the parrot continued chanting, "Gaura, Gaura, 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 Gaura Hare. Gaura, Gaura, Gaura Hare. Jaya Sachinandana Gaura Hare. Gaura, Gaura, Gaura Hare. Gaura, 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 Gaura Hare." And he was dancing also on the branch. Can you imagine? Dancing parrot. It's pretty ecstatic, right? So this is Navadvip, this is what's happening in here. These kind of ecstatic pastimes are happening, birds are chanting the holy names, dancing, and the Lord is performing his blissful pastimes, which are beyond imagination. And so we'll be reading the 19th chapter, from the 19th chapter of the Madhya Lila of Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, which is the Lord's pastimes in Advaita's house. So the Lord performed his pastimes here in Navadvip, and also he went to Srila Advaita Acharya's home, and there was a serious reason for that. What was the reason? Because Advaita Acharya was very unhappy. Why he was unhappy? Because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he treated him as equal to his guru. Why? Because Srila Advaita Acharya was initiated by whom? By Madhavendra Puri. And who was Madhavendra Puri? He was his grand guru, grand spiritual master. Madhavendra Puri was the guru of Srila Ishvara Puri, and because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was disciple of Ishvara Puri, for him Advaita Acharya was in the same position that Srila Prabhupada disciples for us, right? So we treat Srila Prabhupada disciples as very special, and so Mahaprabhu was treating Advaita Acharya being very special. But of course, Advaita Acharya, and how it was happening, Mahaprabhu was bowing down to Advaita Acharya and touching his feet and taking the dust of Advaita Acharya's feet on his head. And of course, Advaita Acharya, knowing the position of the Supreme Lord, he was not at all happy with that. And he was thinking something should be done about it. And he came up with a plan. And what happened? You are about to hear. Are you still awake? Very good. Okay. So, there are purports by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur to these texts, but unfortunately we won't be able to read them all, but because we still are bound by time, but we'll read some, at least some of the snippets from the purport and discuss them a little bit. So this chapter says in the beginning, Jaya Vishwambara Sarva Vaishnavera Natha Bhakti Diya Jivi Prabhukara Atmasat. All glories to Vishwambar, the Lord of all Vaishnavas. O Lord, please deliver the living entities by giving them your devotional service. So Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur starts with a prayer, glorifying the Lord and asking him for devotional service. Vishwambar. Any of you know what is the true meaning of the name Vishwambar? In Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita it's been explained. Anyone? Maintainer of the universe. Okay, this is good. This is right translation. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, we are checking how well you know Chaitanya Charitamrita. My true meaning of the word Vishwambar, or maintainer of the word of the whole universe, will manifest when I will do what? Any of you interested to know? What is the true, deepest meaning of the word Vishwambar? Please raise your hand and say Haribol. Sorry to wake up those who fell asleep. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says the true meaning of my name Vishwambar will be manifested when I will give the entire universe Krishna Prema Bhakti. Because this is pure love of God. This is what maintains the entire universe. Always remember that. And so Vishwambar Mahaprabhu performed his pastimes all over Navadvip, and he was accompanied by Nityananda and Gadadhar, and he really enjoyed his pastimes. And he was ecstatic. Why? Because he saw Krishna everywhere and everything connected to Krishna. This is how you can become ecstatic. If you become fully Krishna conscious and you will see Krishna everywhere and everything connected to Krishna, then you'll always be happy. This is what Bhagavad Gita says, right? 6:30. Yamam pashyati sarvatra sarvam chamaya pashyati sachamena pranashyami sachaham na pranashyami sachamena pranashyati. Krishna says, one who sees me everywhere and everything in me will never lose me, and I will never lose such a devotee as well. How many of you want to be in this category of devotee whom Krishna will never lose? So, if we become Krishna conscious, we'll be protected by the Lord. So they were fully absorbed in Krishna Prema without any external consciousness, and they were doing Sankirtan, Yagya. And Advaita Acharya was the most blissful. No one could understand him fully. And Vrindavan Das Thakur says, only Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and very few devotees really knew the glories of Sri Advaita Acharya. And when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was performing his Sankirtan Leela, and he went unconscious, and after he came back to his external consciousness, he started offering his respects to the devotees. And especially he was offering respects to Sri Advaita Acharya, And Advaita Acharya was very unhappy. And further on, Vrindavan Das Thakur reveals what Advaita Acharya was thinking. How many of you would like to know what Advaita Acharya was thinking? Listen carefully. What Advaita Acharya was saying. Niravadi chora more, vadambana kare, prabhutva chadiya more, charane siddhare. This fifth constantly harasses me by giving up his superior position and grabbing hold of my feet. The Lord is most powerful, so by force I cannot check him from taking dust from my feet. Apparently Advaita Acharya was trying to prevent, but Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was too strong and by force he was taking dust from Advaita Acharya's feet. That's why he's calling him thief. The only alternative I have is the power of devotional service, for no one can recognize Vishwambar without devotional service. When I smash his illusion into pieces, then only will my name, Advaita Simha, be glorified. So Advaita Acharya was known as Advaita Simha. This thief has become proud after defeating Brigu, but he doesn't know that I have hundreds of disciples like Brigu. I will make the Lord so angry that he will punish me by his own hand. Although the Lord has incarnated to preach devotional service, I will not show any respect to such devotional service. This is my resolution. If I do not accept devotional service, then the Lord will forget himself out of anger and punish me by pulling my hair. Advaita Acharya had long hair, so there was possibility of pulling him by hair. After contemplating in this way, Advaita Acharya happily departed with Haridas. Advaita Acharya, very close friends with Haridas Thakur, as we know. He came home on the pretext of some work and contemplated his resolution. Intoxicated with ecstasy, he constantly swayed back and forth as he glorified Jnana while commenting on the book named as Yoga Vasishta. So he took, I don't know how many of you read Yoga Vasishta. It's not recommended. It's fully Mayavad scripture. Sometime back, recently, I happened to be in the home of some beginner devotee who used to read Yoga Vasishta. I just flipped through pages, and it's horrible. You know, it's exactly what Srila Prabhupada was, arguing against. I am God, you are God, everyone's God. I was God, but I forgot. So many crazy things. So this is Yoga Vasishta. Not recommended for any Vaishnavas. But Advaita Acharya decided to make the Lord angry, and he came up with very good strategy of reading and giving classes on Yoga Vasishta. And because he was such a famous Brahmana, right? He was the leader of all the Brahmanas in Shantipur. So many people were coming to his classes. And he started preaching impersonalism, glorifying Jnana. So what was he saying? Without Jnana, what power does devotional service to Vishnu have? Therefore, Jnana has all potency, and it is the life of all. One who does not understand such jnana is comparable to a person who leaves his wealth at home and then searches for it in the forest. Devotional service to Vishnu is like a mirror, while jnana is like the eyes. What is the use of a mirror if one has no eyes? Right? Pretty amazing statements. I have studied all the scriptures from beginning to end and come to the conclusion that jnana is the essence of everything. And it was true. He studied scriptures. That's why people trusted. So you can imagine devotees were quite surprised by this preaching. But then Haridas Thakur, he was also listening to this class. And you know how Haridas Thakur reacted? Any of you would like to know how Haridas Thakur reacted? Haridas knew well the characteristics of Advaita. Therefore, on hearing this explanation, he laughed loudly. Can you imagine, serious lecture and then Haridas Thakur sitting and laughing there? Such as the unfathomable characteristics of Advaita Prabhu. They are auspicious for the devotees and impediments for the miscreants. Lord Vishwambara is like a desire tree that fulfills everyone's desire. Therefore, he understood Advaita's resolution. So he decided to play this game with Advaita Acharya. One day, the Lord was joyfully wandering about the city, looking at his creation with Nityananda. Navadvip is really beautiful. Mayapur is very beautiful, right? Why Navadvip is so beautiful? Anyone knows? Why? Who created Navadvip? Srimati Radharani to please Krishna. And so it's very beautiful. And here we have Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu, who is Krishna in the mood of Radha. So he's looking at his own creation. And then demigods are watching them. And demigods, starting with Lord Brahma, they were saying, it appeared that 2 moons were wandering about and everyone appreciated their presence according to their surrender. All the demigods watched from outer space. On seeing the 2 moons, various thoughts went through their minds. On seeing the presence of the moon-like lords, Shishigornitai, they considered their planets to be the earth and earth to be heaven. By the influence of the moon-like lords, they considered themselves to be human beings and human beings to be demigods. On seeing the 2 moons, they thought, we have never seen 2 moons together in heaven. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita also compares Shishigornitai with 2 moons, right? How many of you know this verse? You can chant together with me. Vande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Sahodito Gadadaya Pushpavanto Chitra Sando Tamonudo. So, this verse says that these 2 moons have risen simultaneously at the horizon of Gauda Desh, and they bestow benediction upon all of us by completely dispelling of the darkness of the age of Kali. One of the demigods said, listen to my words. One is the original moon and the other is a reflection. But yeah, this verse says sun and the moon have risen simultaneously, but here it says 2 moons. Not much difference. Another demigod said, I think that out of our good fortune, Lord Narayan has provided us with 2 moons. Someone said, the Father and the Son are one. I think one is Mercury, the son of the moon. It was not at all wonderful that the demigods were bewildered by the Lord's form, which even the Vedas cannot ascertain. In this way, Nityananda and the son of Jagannath Mishra wandered about the city. Addressing Nityananda, Vishwambar said, "Let us go to Advaita Acharya's house in Shantipur." The two joyful, most restless lords then set out on the path to Advaita Acharya's house. Halfway down the road near Malika is a village named Lalitapur, which is situated near the Ganges. In that village lived a householder sannyasi. His house was on the side of the road near the Ganges. So this was so-called sannyasi. The Lord asked Nityananda, "Do you know whose ashram this is and who stays here?" Nityananda replied, "Oh Lord, this is the house of a sannyasi." The Lord then said, "If we are fortunate, we can meet him." The two Prabhus smiled as they went to the sannyasi's house. Vishwambar thereupon offered obeisances to the sannyasi. On seeing Vishwambar's most enchanting form, beautiful limbs, and smiling face, the sannyasi, in great satisfaction, offered him various benedictions. "May you achieve wealth, family, good wife, and learning." So this is what was happening in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's times also, that some people were calling themselves sannyasi even though they lived with women and enjoying sense gratification. The Lord said, "O Gosani, this is not a benediction. Rather you should say, may you attain the mercy of Krishna." Prabhu bale Gosani e nahi ashirvad hena bale tore hau Krishna ra prasad. But then sannyasi was not happy with that correction. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, benediction of devotional service is inexhaustible and indestructible. Whatever you have said, O Gosani, does not befit you. Why are we interested in Krishna consciousness rather than material gain? Because Krishna consciousness is inexhaustible and indestructible. So it's permanent gain. But the sannyasi smiled and said, I'm now directly experiencing what I have previously heard about. If good advice is given, people will chase you with a stick. The behavior of this son of a Brahmana is just like that. I happily awarded him benediction of wealth, and what to speak of appreciating it, he found fault in me. The sannyasi said, listen, O son of Brahmana, why do you criticize my benediction? If one who has taken birth in this world does not engage in sense gratification, does not enjoy beautiful women, and does not accumulate wealth, then what is the use of life? And you are embarrassed to accept the benediction of such wealth. Tell me, even if you have devotion to Vishnu, what will you eat if you do not have wealth? On hearing the words of the sannyasi, the Lord smiled and raised his hand to his forehead. By this action, Mahaprabhu taught everyone not to aspire for anything other than devotional service. You understood what was the dish? Basically face palm, right? This is what the Lord did. In India, it's not face palm. This is how they say, right? What they do. What is he talking about? Listen, O sannyasi Gosani, we will all certainly eat whatever is destined by our karma. If wealth and family are the aim of life, then tell me, why are they taken away at the time of death? No one wants fever. Why then does fever appear and afflict one's body? Listen, Gosani, the cause of this is karma. What great personality knows this in truth? Some people claim that the Vedas indicate the heavenly planets are the goal of life, but such teachings are simply the compassion of the Vedas on the foolish. People take great pleasure in material happiness, and the Vedas offer directions according to their mentality. What is the fault of the Vedas? The Vedas declare by taking bath in the Ganges and chanting the name of Hari, one will achieve wealth and children, and people therefore engage in such activities. So Vedas are promoting material benefits because people are interested in material benefits, and so they need some inspiration to start their devotional service, but this is not the topmost benefit. If one somehow or other takes bath in the Ganges and chants the name of Hari, then by the influence of those activities one will easily achieve devotional service. Foolish people do not understand this intention of the Vedas, so they give up devotional service to Krishna and engage in sense gratification. O Gosani, try to understand what is good and what is bad. There is no benediction other than devotional service to Krishna. While instructing the sannyasi, the Supreme Lord, and spiritual master of everyone, taught devotional service through Vedic evidence. Whatever Lord Chaitanya speaks is the absolute truth. Sinful living entities who blaspheme others do not accept his words. On hearing the Lord's words, the sannyasi smiled and thought, I can understand that this Brahmana has become crazy because of misguidance. It appears that this sannyasi has spoiled this Brahmana boy's mind and is taking him away somewhere. So because Nityananda Prabhu was dressed as sannyasi, that this false sannyasi was thinking this is the influence of Nityananda Prabhu. The sannyasi said, the time has come when I appear ignorant before a child. I have traveled throughout the world to Ayodhya, Mathura, Haridwar and Badrikashram. I have been to all the holy places like Gujarat, Kashi, Gaya, Vijayanagar and Sri Lanka. Yet I could not understand what is good and what is bad. Now this child who is still drinking his mother's milk is teaching me. Nityananda smiled and said, listen, Goswami, there is no need to argue with a child. I know well your glories. For my sake, forgive all his offenses. When the sannyasi heard glorification of himself, he became pleased and immediately invited them for lunch. Nityananda said, we have important work. Give us something, some takeaway, and we're going to take bath. And sannyasi said, take bath here, eat something, and then go. So they have to agree. They had to agree to stay in his house. So they took bath in Ganges. They came and they ate, but they ate only fruit. First they offered items like milk, mangoes and jackfruit to Lord Krishna, and then they sat down to eat before the sannyasi. So this is an important example. How many of you sometimes have to, for the sake of preaching, go to the houses of some non-devotees and associate with them? And people might offer you something to eat. So if you eat something cooked, then you can become contaminated because it's not prasadam. But this is the solution. Just offer fruits and take the fruits, because fruits are cooked directly by Srimati Radharani. Srimati Radharani is the source of nature. And so fruits are coming from nature, so they are coming from Srimati Radharani directly. So you can offer them to Krishna and peacefully take and give even your hosts. But the sinful sannyasi drank wine. Making some signs to Nityananda, he spoke as follows. Listen, Shripad, shall I bring you some Ananda? Where else can I find guests like you? so he was already pretty drunk. Since Nityananda had visited various places, he could understand that this person was a drunkard sannyasi. The sannyasi repeatedly asked, "Shall I bring some Ananda?" Nityananda replied, "We should go now." On seeing the Cupid-like beauty of the two lords, the sannyasi's wife watched them with full concentration. She told her husband, "Why are you disturbing their meals?" The Lord said, "What is the Ananda this sannyasi is talking about?" Nityananda replied, "I think he is talking about wine." Vishwambar resembled Lord Krishna. He washed his hands and immediately left. After jumping into the Ganges, the two restless lords went to the house of the Advaita Acharya by floating in the waves of the Ganges. It's a very easy way of going from Navadvip to Shantipur. Just jump into Ganges and Ganges will take you all the way there. The Lord bestowed mercy on womanizers and drunkards, but he annihilates blasphemers even if they are well versed in Vedanta. Although this sannyasi drank wine and intimately associated with women, the Lord visited his house. In the course of their conversation, the Lord taught him religious principles. He took rest in his house and ate there. Even if the sannyasi could not attain perfection of this life, in this life, he would in the next, but the blasphemers will never achieve perfection. So a very important lesson. It's better to be materialistic sense enjoyer than so-called Vaishnava who blasphemes other Vaishnavas. This is why non-devotee sannyasis cannot see the Lord. The sannyasis of Kashi are evidence of this. As described in the Antikanda, when the Lord went to Kashi, all the sannyasis there heard about his arrival. Those sannyasis became happy to hear about the arrival of that great personality and thought, "We will see Chaitanya." They were all conversant with Vedanta and practiced at austerities. They had lived their entire lives in Kashi and were greatly renowned. Yet, all their good qualities were nullified by one fault. They taught Vedanta but did not explain devotional service to Vishnu. The lion-like Gaura, the supersoul of all, knows everything. Although he went to Kashi, he did not give darshan to those sannyasis. While in Varanasi, he hid in Ramachandrapuri's ashram, where he stayed for 2 months. And then he departed from Varanasi. And then sannyasis recognized that he left and they didn't feel remorseful about it, and they were wondering why he left. So Vrindavan Das Thakur says this is the kind of mentality one develops if one becomes offender. And he says, those who blaspheme others in Kashi are punished by Lord Shiva, and those who offend Shiva cannot become devotees of Vishnu. Lord Gaurasundar will deliver everyone except the sinful people who blaspheme Vaishnavas. So he took bath and ate at the house of a drunkard, but the blasphemous Vedantis could not get his darshan. A living entity who does not fear Lord Chaitanya's punishment is punished by Yamaraj birth after birth. So it says that even accepting sannyasa without devotional service is useless. So coming back to Chaitanya and Nityananda, they are floating down the Ganges. And Vishwambar Mahaprabhu roars very loudly, repeating, "I am he, I am he. Nada disturbed my sleep and brought me here, and now he is covering the glories of devotional service by preaching jnana. See yourself how I punish him today. Today we will see how he defends the process of jnana." Anyone's interested to know what happened next? As Mahaprabhu threatened and roared while floating in the current of the Ganges, Nityananda remained silent and smiled to himself. The two lords floated in the waves of the Ganges like Mukunda and Ananta in the ocean of milk. By the influence of devotional service, Advaita Acharya was most powerful. He understood that his desire to be punished by the Lord would soon be fulfilled. Haribol. Amazing, right? Advaita Prabhu, how many of you are dreaming to be punished by the Lord? Advaita Acharya was dreaming to be punished by the Lord. Because whatever the Lord is doing, punishing or rewarding, it's all blessings, all His causeless mercy. Advaita Prabhu realized that the Lord was coming in an angry mood, and he began to explain jnana more enthusiastically. Who can understand the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya's devotees? In this way, the two lords floated down to the Ganges to Advaita's house. Accompanied by Nityananda, the angry Vishwambar saw Advaita rocking back and forth in the happiness of jnana. Actually, why he was happy? Because he knew that his desire will soon be fulfilled. When Haridasa and Achyuta, the son of Advaita, saw the Lord, they offered their obeisances. The wives of Advaita offered their obeisances to the Lord within their minds. They were filled with anxiety on seeing the Lord's mood, so they could understand something is going to happen. Vishwambar's bodily effulgence was like that of millions of suns. Everyone became frightened on seeing this. In an angry mood, the Lord said, "O Nada, tell me, which is superior, jnana or bhakti?" Advaita replied, "Jnana is always superior. What is the use of devotional service for one who does not have jnana?" On hearing Advaita say jnana was superior, the son of Sachi lost his external consciousness out of anger. He dragged Advaita Acharya from his seat into the courtyard and began beating him with his own hands. Although she knew everything, Advaita's chaste wife and mother of the universe tried to restrain the Lord. "Spare his life. He is an old Brahmana. For whose benefit do you chastise him? The Brahmana is so old." Advaita Acharya was pretty old, right? "What more will you do to him? If something happens to him, you will be responsible for the consequences." So, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati notes in his purport, he said, killing a Brahmana is prohibited in the scripture. If a Brahmana is killed by excessive beating, then it is impossible for the person responsible to become free from the offense. So she was indicating that do not beat him like that, he will die from your beating. On hearing those words, beautiful and chaste, befitting a chaste wife, Nityananda smiled. Haridas Prabhu remembered Krishna in fear. In his anger, the Lord did not hear those words befitting a chaste wife. He roared and threatened Advaita with proud words. Anyone wants to know what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was saying? "I was sleeping in the ocean of milk when you, Nada, woke me up to fulfill your mission. You brought me to reveal the signs of devotional service, but now you are covering devotional service with your explanation on jnana. If your intention was to cover devotional service, then why did you have me incarnate? I never frustrate your resolve, but you always deceive me." After releasing Advaita, the Lord sat down at the doorway and began to loudly reveal his own glories. "Oh Nada, it was I who killed Kamsa. You know everything, don't you? Brahma, Shiva, Shesha, and Lakshmi all engage in my service. The cunning impostor Vasudev was killed by my chakra. Varanasi was completely burned by my chakra, and the mighty Ravana was killed by my arrow. My chakra cut off the arms of Banasura, and my chakra destroyed Narakasura. It was I who held up Govardhan hill with my left hand, and it was I who brought the Parijata flower from heaven. I deceived Bali and then bestowed mercy on him. It was I who killed Hiranyakashipu to save Prahlad. In this way the Lord revealed his opulences, and Advaita floated in an ocean of ecstatic love while listening. Advaita was filled with ecstasy after receiving his punishment. He clapped his hands and danced in humility. And he started chanting. Yena aparata kailun tena shasti pailun balai karila prabhu ale edailun. I have received proper punishment for my offense. O Lord, you are very kind and have actually given me only a token punishment. Now I have realized your supremacy. You have suitably punished me for my fault. Now the relationship between the Lord and his servant has been strengthened. After speaking in this way, the Lord of Shantipur danced in ecstasy. And then he frowned and spoke to the Lord as follows. Where has your glorification of me gone now? Where has all your deceitful behavior gone now? You can imagine Lord Chaitanya was pretty shocked, right? I'm not Durvasa Muni, who you insulted by smearing his remnants all over your body. I'm not Bhrigu Muni, whose foot dust you happily accepted on your chest as Srivatsa. My name is Advaita, and I am your unalloyed servant. My only wish is to honor your remnants birth after birth. By the influence of your remnants, I am unaffected by illusory energy. You have punished me. Now give me the shelter of your lotus feet. After saying this, the Lord of Shantipur devotedly fell down and placed his head on at the Lord's feet. Vishwambar respectfully picked Advaita up and cried profusely as he embraced him. On seeing Advaita's devotion, Nityananda Prabhu cried so profusely that it appeared as if a river was flowing down from his eyes. So you can imagine, Lord Chaitanya was pretty embarrassed. Just he beat Advaita Acharya up and then he realized it was a trick. And then you can imagine, he lifted Advaita, dusted him off like that. Pretty funny episode. Haridas Thakur fell to the ground and cried. The wife of Advaita and all their servants began to cry. Maybe sometime devotees will make a little movie about it also, right? Achyutananda, the son of Advaita, also cried. Advaita's entire house became filled with ecstatic love of Krishna. Vishwambar felt embarrassed for having beaten Advaita, so he happily awarded Advaita a benediction. I will bestow mercy on any living entity, even an ant, insect, animal, or bird, who takes shelter of you for even a moment, even if that living entity commits hundreds of offenses against me. So how can we become free from all the offenses? By taking shelter of Srila Advaita Acharya. Haribol. On hearing this benediction, Advaita Mahashaya began to cry. He caught hold of the Lord's feet and humbly spoke as follows. O Lord, whatever you spoke can never prove false, but please listen to my declaration. If one worships me but does not accept you, then may his devotion to me annihilate him. One who does not worship your lotus feet and accepts you as the Supreme Lord is not dear to me. anyone who worships you is my life and soul. I cannot tolerate a person who disregards you. I cannot look at the face of a Vaishnava Aparadi, even if he happens to be my son or servant. If one transgresses you and worships millions of demigods, those demigods will kill him on some pretext. Those are not simply my words, they are the words of the Vedas. The killing of Sudakshana is evidence of this. Sudakshana was the son of the king of Kashi. He worshipped Lord Shiva with full attention. In great satisfaction, Shiva told him, ask for a benediction. You will achieve your goal by performing the Abhichara Yagya. But if you insult a devotee of Vishnu, I will kill you in the course of your sacrifice. Without understanding the true intention of Shiva's words, Sudakshana performed the Abhichara Yagya on the order of Shiva. A formidable demon with 3 hands, 3 legs, and 3 heads appeared from the sacrificial fire. That demon with legs as long as palm trees said, ask for a benediction. The king replied, O fortunate one, burn Dwaraka to ashes. On hearing this order, that great demon who was the creation of Shiva became distressed. He realized that the king's desire could not be fulfilled. But the demon was obliged to go to Dwaraka, yet as soon as he arrived there, he was chased by Sudarshana, the protector of Dwaraka. Thinking that he would not be spared by Sudarshana if he tried to run away, the great creation of Shiva fell at Sudarshana's feet and spoke as follows. Durvasa was unable to escape from you, and Brahma and Shiva were unable to protect him. Therefore, Prabhu, how can I escape from you who are endowed with the prowess of a great Vaishnava? All glories to my master, who is named Sudarshana. You are as powerful as Lord Shiva. All glories to the abode of Lord Krishna. All glories to Sudarshana Chakra, the best of the Vaishnavas. All glories to the destroyer of the miscreants and the protector of the pious. Sudarshana heard this prayer with satisfaction and then instructed him to go burn the king's son. That terrifying creature then returned to Kashi and burned the prince to ashes. He transgressed you, O Lord, and worshipped Shiva. Therefore he was killed in the course of his sacrifice. That is why I declare that I will burn to ashes anyone who transgresses you and serves me. You are the Lord of my life, and you are my wealth. You are my father and mother, and you are my dear friend. And so then he gives another example about King Satrajit, who transgressed the Lord's order, and he was killed with his brother. And Duryodhan, even though he was disciple of Baladev, he still was killed due to his offenses. And Hiranyakashipu received Brahma's benedictions, and he was killed because he disregarded Krishna. And Ravana was killed because he disregarded Lord Ram. And then he glorified the Lord in this way. He said, worshipping the demigods headed by Shiva while disregarding you is like watering the leaves of a tree after cutting its root. Pretty useless exercise. You are the root of the Vedas, Brahmanas, sacrifice, and religious principles. I do not accept the worship of one who does not worship you. When Sri Satchidananda heard Advaita's explanation of the absolute truth, he roared loudly and spoke, everyone listen to my words. Any fallen soul who disrespects my servant and worships me cuts me into pieces. His worship feels like fire to my body. My wish-fulfilling holy names destroy one who blasphemes my servant. Pretty amazing text. Text 209 of this 19th chapter. Ye amara dasera sakrit nindakare mora nama kalpataru samhare tahare. my wish-fulfilling holy names destroy one who blasphemes my servant. All living entities in the innumerable universes are my servants. So anyone who blasphemes any living entity is ruined. Wow. Quite amazing, right? You are more important than my own body, so if anyone transgresses you, he will be unable to tolerate his fate. If even a sannyasi blasphemes an innocent person, he goes to hell and all his religious principles are destroyed. Raising his arms, Lord Chaitanya declared to the world, avoid offenses and chant the names of Krishna. You remember? Bhaktivinoda Thakur says the same thing. Aparadda shunya hoy loho Krishna nam. Krishna Mata, Krishna Pita, Krishna Dhana Pran. This is where Bhaktivinoda Thakur takes his inspiration. If one who is free from blasphemy chants the name of Krishna even once, I will certainly deliver him. When Mahaprabhu spoke these words, all the devotees chanted Jaya, Jai. Advaita cried and grabbed the Lord's two lotus feet. The Lord also began to cry as he embraced Advaita. The entire world floated in Advaita's ecstatic love. Such are the inconceivable topics of Advaita. And so we're a bit over time. But I hope you like the pastime. Yes? So if you have opportunity, if you finish reading Chaitanya Charitamrita, you can also read Chaitanya Bhagavat, very ecstatic. Yes, Prabhu. We have microphone? Radio microphone, maybe? And thank you for the opportunity to read Chaitanya Bhagavat together with you.
Hare Krishna. Maharaj, we see that Mayavad philosophy is full of misconceptions and ignorance, but still we call them Jnani. Why?
Well, because Mayavadis, that's the only thing. Sushka Jnana, it's called dry knowledge, right? Of course, Srila Prabhupada says sometimes they get bored and they start reading Bhagavatam because, pastimes give some inspiration. But mostly they're supposed to study Upanishads, and Upanishads are mostly pure Jnana because they believe. Why Jnana? I'll give you an example. How many of you have high education? Please raise your hands if you have your university degree. Well, you had to spend few best years of your life. How many of you felt while you were studying that you would rather, enjoy life, entertain yourself, but you have to study? Yes. So, but it was your sacrifice. Why? Because you know very well. If you are well educated, you will gain very high position in the society, right? So this is the example how Jnana elevates one to the higher position, right? So it's very simple logic. The more Jnana you have, the higher position you have. And then the topmost personality in the universe, Lord Brahma, he has so much Jnana that it doesn't even fit into one head. He has to have 4 heads, right? So, and Mayavadis, they, follow this mundane logical conclusion that the more knowledge you have, the higher position you get. And who has the highest position? The Supreme Lord. So their conclusion is that one who has most knowledge gets the highest position. And so by knowledge one can get elevated to the position of God. So that's their logic.
And how does it differ from the knowledge of devotional service? Like we have bhakti scriptures or Vaishnava Acharyas, they are also highly learned.
Yes, but we do not consider ourselves learned. If Vaishnava is considering himself that he gained something by his own accord or is doing something on his own, anyone wants to know what's the greatest trap of Maya in Krishna consciousness? It is to think that I am doing something. Like if I think I'm explaining something now, I'm speaking, that's total ignorance. Because, for example, chanting, right? Say, you chant your japa, and you think, I am chanting the holy name, right? And that is the greatest illusion, because we do not. Reality is opposite. That the holy name, by the Lord's causeless mercy, comes down to our level to give us association. So Acharyas are giving us this knowledge, and by coming in touch with this knowledge, we can think of Krishna and we can become purified. So we're not doing anything. We're not the doers. And if we think we are, for example, someone might gather a lot of knowledge, have topmost education, but just imagine the man walks by the construction site and bricks fall on his head and hits the part of the brain which is in charge of memory. The guy will become stupid in a second, in a split second. So we can understand that everything depends on the Lord. That's why in that chapter we heard Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saying, everything depends on karma. But guess whose karma depends on? Who is the master of karma? Krishna, the Supreme Lord. So, this idea that I have something or I am doing something is nothing but creation of the false ego. We know this verse very well from Bhagavad Gita, right? Prakriti kriya manani gunai karmani sarvasha ahankaro vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. So it applies even to the activities of devotional service as well. It applies to everything in our life. Hare Krishna. Prabhu?
Hi, Maharaj. Thank you for your wonderful philosophical class. I know and believe also devotional life is the highest goal of human life. Yeah, especially for chanting or Harinam is the highest process of devotional life. But I sometimes I think when I read Bhagavatam, just knowledgeable book, Bhagavatam or Bhakti Sandarbha like this, especially the deeply consciousness book, when I read this book, so much get more interest than chanting. So it is even previous great Acharya like Vishnu Guru Bharat Vidyabhushan, so much time engaged to just philosophical book, Bhagavatam and others book. So even Srila Prabhupada in last time when then time he give to class Bhagavatam. So actually I am it is personal question is I am get so much interest to knowledgeable just like Bhagavatam and other shastra. So it is missing or any problem? Just chanting is the 16 complete. I have so much get time, then I can read Bhagavatam or other shastra.
Yes. Well, Prabhupada books are very interesting because if you read them, I'm wondering how many of you had this experience that you read Prabhupada books many interesting things. But then in the purport, Prabhupada says, the essence of all knowledge is to chant the holy name. And then you get inspired and you pick up your beads and you start chanting your rounds. How many of you had this experience? Yeah? And quite regularly, Srila Prabhupada glorifies the holy name in his books, right? Because actually Bhagavatam and Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, and all other Vaishnava literatures are nothing but expansion of the holy name. And so reading these books should inspire us to chant more holy names, and chanting holy names should give us deeper understanding of these books. So it's like say you have cash, and then you have something you could buy with this cash, right? So all the goods are, in a sense, expansion of the cash, right? Because money is considered to be wealth, and the goods are also considered to be wealth. So we can compare because Acharyas are comparing holy name with cash, and everything holy name gives us, these are goods. So, but if you don't have cash, will you be able to get goods? No. So cash is important. That's why Sri Bhavananda, that prayer is recorded in Padyavali by Rupa Goswami. Very powerful prayer. Vichayani vichiryani vichintyani puna puna kripanasya dhanaiva tannama bhavanantu na. I have a poetic rendering by Dravida Prabhu. Very beautiful verse. I'll read this one. Listen to the translation. A miser carefully collects and counts his precious hoard, and always contemplates his wealth with further greedy aims. I pray to be just like a miser with the strength, O Lord, to constantly collect and count and contemplate your names. So the holy name, that's the greatest and most powerful currency, not only in the universe, but all over creation. There is nothing more valuable than the holy name. So when you chant the holy name, you can think, I'm getting spiritually wealthy. Because with the holy name, what you can get with the holy name? Anything. With the holy name, you can pay for your ticket back to Goloka Vrindavan. With the holy name, you can even buy Krishna. Because holy name, ultimate gift of the holy name is what? Krishna Prema. And if you have Krishna Prema, then Krishna becomes subordinate to one who has Krishna Prema. So we can understand the holy name. There is nothing more valuable than holy name. And if you have this meditation, the more I chant, the more wealthy I become. Because in the material world, everybody wants this. And yes, sadhu sangha, prasad, shastra, and so many other wonderful things we have in Krishna consciousness, they became available to us because we have holy name. And if we want to enjoy these things, we should continue chanting. You know, my meditation, you like to hear my meditation when I chant my rounds? Minimum 16 rounds is investment in our bright future, right? because our future is bright, going back home, back to Godhead, enjoying eternal devotional service. But chanting more than 16 rounds, you know what is this? It is return on your investment. It is not only bright future, it is bright present. So, return on investment is a very nice thing, right? That you're not doing anything, but, returns are coming automatically. So if you chant more than 16 rounds, that's your return on investment. That's a very powerful thing. That's why Prabhupada says, do not waste time. If you have time, chant Hare Krishna. I hope it answers your question. So, probably last one, but maybe we should give ladies also opportunity if they have any question.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for a wonderful class. So generally we hear Maharaj that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu does not bestow his mercy on those who are hypocritical, and we see that from the episode of Chota Haridas. So but in this, what we just discussed, so Mahaprabhu visited the home of the sannyasi even though he was having wife and he was drinking. So how can we understand this?
Well, he was materialistic, he was degraded, but he was not an offender. And even in relation to Jagai Mada, it says that they were horrible criminals, but they never offended any Vaishnavas. That's why they were saved. So, nothing in the material world can prevent Lord's mercy except offenses, especially offenses to Vaishnavas. So this is the example. Okay. Last question from Mataji.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I wanted to ask this, like sometimes we don't want to, like we don't feel like chanting, and like we don't get into that mood of chanting, like we are forced, we feel like to force ourselves to chant. So at that point of time, what should we do, like to, which will inspire us to chant at that point of time?
Yes. There is one story how one boy was asking Srila Prabhupada, why do we have to chant Hare Krishna so much? And Prabhupada tried to explain one way, other way, in so many different ways. Still he was not satisfied. And Prabhupada was fed up with his stubbornness, and he said, you have to chant because Krishna wants you to chant. So, if we don't want to chant, we should remember that Krishna wants us to chant. And if we want to make Krishna happy, we should do what Krishna wants. And why we should want to make Krishna happy? Very simple. Because if Krishna is happy, then we'll be happy. How many of you want to be happy? So make Krishna happy and you'll be happy. And how to make Krishna happy? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I can say everyone became happy immediately. So very simple. Hare Krishna, thank you all very much. All the best with your parikrama, and looking forward to have more opportunities to serve you. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Navadwip Mandala Parikrama ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So perhaps there are some announcements. Yes? You want to make some announcement? You can have microphone. Okay, coming.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, we would like to thank His Holiness Bhakti Rasayan Sagar Maharaj for giving such a wonderful association, such a wonderful Hare Katha from Chaitanya Bhagavat by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra loudly. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jai Bhakti Rasan Sagar Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Jagrut. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So the gargling water, the warm water is available just backside of Pendal. So all of you can avail there. And your Moody and milk prasadam is also available. Hare Krishna.